Hello and welcome to the Nordic Takedown podcast. My name is Jason the Captain Kirk, also known as Fun Daddy. Welcome to episode 15, and I am here today with I Am So Humble. Adam.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Are you still humble?
Always.
I think it's harder for you to be humble right now, but we'll get onto that in a second. Matthias, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yep. You're still with us. We're still calling you Matt Matthias because we still haven't got a nickname for you. I like Matt 3PO, but yeah.
I mean, go with it. Sure, have fun.
Matt 3. Let's go have some Matt 3PO or something like that. Great. So, and then we have the Norwegian Jonah.
That's not a moon. That's a moose.
Sorry, I dropped something and I.
It's a teaser for what's this upcoming.
That's a teaser for what's upcoming. Okay, this is new to me.
It's not a moon, it's a moose.
Indeed.
Well, surely they can see it, right?
That's a nice segue. Because, okay, let's have a quick prize. There are no actual prizes apart from a pat on the back. But if we were to do a spot the difference between the first 14 episodes of the Nordic Takedown podcast and this episode, what would it be? Everyone together, we've got a new logo.
Let's go!
Logo!
I really hope, listener, wherever you are, you followed on as well. You followed with us and said we have a new logo. All together again, we have a new logo. This is a good day. Like, finally, we have an identity, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't have to rely on
3
the force.
months in.
It's only 3 months, yeah. We planned to be a lot better, but life got busy, and we were recruiting 2 amazing new hosts. And to get to this place of going at logo, we tried to do ourselves, and we went, hang on a second. Matthias especially was like, we can't use this because it's illegal.
That was very unnecessary.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. My Sambo is good at art. I'll get her to see if she can do a moon or a planet, a Hoth-like planet. And then we're just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So huge thanks to Matthias's Sambo. I'm not sure if she cares if she's named.
I don't think she
L.
minds, but I haven't asked, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Just call it L, like, Stranger Things 11.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll go with that as well. But I think it's absolutely fantastic. We're a big fan of this. You guys, you happy about it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's super nice.
Yeah,
I'm really happy we have one. I've got tired of our text, even though
that's
the really nice from the beginning.
Just get away from the wall of text.
Yeah, exactly. But we didn't want to just keep changing it every week just for the sake of having something.
Yeah.
We wanted to actually have something, have a thing, and now we have a really nice kind of illustrated feel to the whole thing. And we're going to be kind of adding stuff in, and we've got a little freedom there, I think, to add a few kind of Star Warsy elements in there as we want to, but the curious moose, I think we can call it. The discussion, those of you listening, the discussion around how the moose should look probably took way too more energy than it needed to.
We have considered the moose. The moose has been considered.
We even had a moose vote, like pick a moose.
Yeah.
And we voted on it. But yeah, we have our logo. That is how you will notice us going forwards. You will see that we've got a few different. We've got a dark moose. We've got a light moose. Depending on how it feels, depending on the time of year. Yeah.
Depending on what side of the force you are.
Depending on what side. We have a villainy moose and we have a heroic moose.
Perfect.
So exactly when we'll see, and I mean that's all it is. There's no other aspects to it at the moment. So yeah. So congratulations, huge thank you to the designer, and we're very, very happy with it.
Indeed.
What else have we been up to this week?
Adam, you've been
busy. Adam's been
traveling.
Doing stuff. Really.
I don't know if we should be surprised anymore. It feels like a record scratch.
I don't think it's even worth mentioning.
No.
Adam went somewhere and wanted
let's jump on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the short
summary. What did you do?
What did I do? I did not travel as much this week. I just went to Denmark, which is
You just went to Denmark.
it's only 3 hours from where I live. So I went to Malmö, hitched
Which is
what
Denmark.
would you say? Which is basically Denmark. We can't say that really because we need their money. So there was a few guys that was also planning to go from Malmö over to Denmark. So I took a spot in their car. So I drove down there and we went there to conquer Denmark again as Swedes. And we made it happen, even though the Danes were trying. They paired us against each other, tried to cannibalize us out. But there was like one keep winning, and it was me. It was great. Unfortunately for the other guys, they had to knock each other out. Ivan and Andreas, they both went 1-1 after both losing to me, and then they had to knock each other out. Already on in round 3, basically. So that was a bit sad. And then in the top 4, they had to sit around and wait for me to finish off the Danes before we could go home to Sweden.
They only have themselves to blame.
Yes.
Like they put the Swedes against each other. The strongest won and came victorious out of that little battle, and it was just plain sailing. Yeah.
Actually, I played Han Green, went 5-0 in Swiss, and like top 4 I won, of course, and final I won. I did have 2 series that went to 2-1. Both were against Krennics, Krennic Greens. One in the semifinal and one in the Swiss round, the 5th Swiss round. But otherwise, it was 2-0 victories all the way. So this is the 3rd Star Wars tournament Unlimited now. All that I have won every game. Otherwise, I don't win. So if I drop a game, I just know it's not going to happen.
You can just go home.
So it's not your day.
I can just go home. Yeah, it's just not going to be my day. Yeah. Green
Congrats.
was the victory.
Thanks. What was the meta like there?
Surprisingly good for me, because I thought it was going to be more aggro, but I think it was
you won. But...
humbly saying it was good for me, but it was like only 2 aggro decks in the whole field of 24 players, and I had main boarded against aggro, so that was maybe wrong, but Han is so good against the like kind of control-y side, because there were quite a lot of control decks and some mid-range with and soft control like Krennic. So managed to be pretty well and got to use my sideboard very well as well. So
nice.
Well prepared for like all outcomes, and now I can like finally say that Han Green is the best deck, and now I have played it and showed it. Now it's not just me talking after losing to it all the time in scrims.
Yeah, but does it actually feel? Does it feel like a better deck than the Luke Green that you played in Stockholm? Does it actually feel like it has been the best deck you've played with for set 1?
Yeah,
for the
I think it's
stuff in set 1.
Yeah, I think it's the only one that I haven't felt that in any game that it's like an uphill battle from start, except when I faced Luke in game 1. That was super, super lucky. I got to double ramp. I got to treacherous his alliance dispatcher and just run away with the game. But in any other matchup, I know Vader Green is hard, but it was none at the tournament. But all other decks, I felt like I fight against the clock or something. And with Green Han, I feel like there is always a game, like a spot for me to turn the game, basically. It's been more my control. So, yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
So
cool.
That's my pick for deck for set 1.
congratulations then. Two store showdowns and the Lincoln win in the season.
Yeah.
Cool, nice, cool. Well, there's only, I think, Oslo to go in the Nordics then.
Yeah.
Sorry? Yeah, only...
Store showdown wise, there's only Oslo to go.
Yeah, so
far, which is
I
when
need to conquer all countries.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
which is when, Jonah?
It's on the 22nd, so next Saturday.
Oh wow, so close. Yeah, great,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
And everybody tech against Adam, so he can't be super humble and self-claim him as a Nordic
yeah.
champion.
We need to bring him down.
What are you playing, Adam? So we can play whatever beats that deck.
I am probably playing Cassian Andor, you know.
So tech against Cassian Andor, you're going fast.
Let's go.
Yeah. Do you know what? Actually, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. Actually, go take Cassian and see how well you do.
Sure, I'm traveling a few hours to play Cassian Andor. Yeah, that sounds like
wonderful.
Yeah, that sounds like
Yeah.
a lot
Okay.
of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. That's fine. If you think you're that good, then
I have not said I'm that good.
no, we're only messing around with you. Matthias, how much have you played in the last week? How's your week been?
My week's been good. I haven't played that much. We did play at the weekly as usual, which was a constricted this time. So I put Boba on the shelf for a week and played my Shiratimwe. Because, well, I mean, I pulled a showcase Shiratimwe. I need to play it, you know.
Yeah,
It's a fun deck. I like it. Didn't go super well. I won 2 games and I lost 2 games. Well, I'll take it. Didn't manage against controlled decks that ramp twice. Turns out that's kind of hard. That's really the thing that beat me mostly. But I mean, it's a fun deck, and I'll play it until Shirt becomes sad and distressed by Rivals Fall.
I mean, you know, we need to have fun with it. We can't just play to win. We need to have some fun as well.
I mean, I can just play to win with Shirt, but I mean, if Tobias can do it, so can I, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is a fun deck because I know we played on TTS and we switched there. So that was fun. Cool. Well, that's great. So that was constructed last week as well. Again, guess I missed out there locally. Jona.
I've also been playing at the weekly events today. Actually, we play 4 rounds of best of 1. I brought a blue boba just to have a break from Han, and it was fun. My draws weren't that good, but I ended up winning 3 games. Lost only to Jesper, our local cunning boba champion, who went undefeated again
with boba cunning.
Yeah, cunning boba. Yeah. So it's gonna be.
I do like that deck.
I think
I do like the look of that deck.
Yeah, I think that's one of the decks right now that's 100% gonna stay relevant for the next set.
Oh yeah.
Especially because we've seen spoilers that are really good for it.
Yeah.
And Green Han.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. I have played.
Wait, we didn't ask you.
Jason can go home. You're not welcome. No, we love you. What have you been playing, Jason?
We want to hear.
I have played very little. I think we played a game, didn't we, on TTS? I think I played my Thrawn, Matthias. Was that in the last week? I think that was in the last week.
Look, man, time's wonky. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a weird kind of tough time at work at the moment. A big, huge project, so I'm doing that. And then I took the family to Colmorden the last couple of days. So we've been to Bamsa World and done all that stuff. Watched the dolphins. And the biggest thing I reacted to is when the dolphins were jumping around and hopping to the Star Wars theme tune. That's the biggest thing I do. And okay, maybe I'm a bit obsessed now with this whole Star Wars world. I was like, no, I don't care. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
No, but it's okay. And I went on the fastest and largest roller coaster in Europe, which is at Colmorden, which is a huge wooden roller coaster. Absolutely incredible. Like most roller coasters, there's a time when it does slow down in the middle and just calms down. But this was just like, it felt like it was maybe 115 kilometers the whole kilometers an hour or the whole way around. Like, oof,
Sounds awful.
like it was amazing. I had to go on a second time. It was incredible. And the ear crystal issues that I still been having issues with, I have not had issues since. So whatever has done, the crystals are back in where they should be.
So when you're feeling sick, just go on a
roller coaster. There we go.
Okay,
that is what I have been doing. This has nothing to do with Star Wars Unlimited.
That is
but
true.
that's
Moving
okay.
on.
Let's move on to what we're talking about now. We have how many weeks until release? 4 weeks until the release of Shadows of the Galaxy. And there are 4 aspects. And so I thought... we thought that we could be good to go through aspect by aspect over the next few weeks, looking at the aspect in terms of, okay, what does it do? What are the core mechanics in the retrospect of the season we've just had, Store Showdown and the decks that we've seen, looking forwards to what can we expect from said aspect in the future in Shadows of the Galaxy from the cards that we have seen. And so we have decided to start with everyone's favorite, which I think is probably one of the most popular at the moment, which is Vigilance.
Who said it was everyone's favorite?
Yeah, I'm gonna fight you on that one. It makes me sad on the inside parts sometimes.
True, but it's popular.
The first one in order,
is.
so it's proper to start.
No,
Yeah.
it's the first one we're doing, but I think it is very popular. Like
It is very
a lot
yes.
of people are going for, especially if they want to play Control, if they want to play the slow game. Vigilance is there. It's got a lot of tools, good tools. So yeah, we're starting with Vigilance.
Yeah, it's popular because it's blue, and people are expecting this to be the color for the Jedi's. But it's not really been that so far yet in the set. People are hyped for it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're kind of going to go through. We're going to have an overview of the aspects. We're going to talk about the differences between heroism and villainy in that aspect. Then we are going to look at the meta-analysis. What are the meta decks, etc., how good is it, and then predictions for the future. So that's kind of the structure that we're going to be going through the next 4 weeks. It's going to be fun. So if you find this is boring, then just keep with it, because it's going to be fun listening to us, of course. I mean, the only podcast I'm actually listening to now is our own podcast, because I like to just listen back to make sure it sounded okay. That's all I have time for in the week. So, like, I find listening to us fun.
At least that's heartening. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm my biggest fan. Okay. So Vigilance. General overview of Vigilance. What are the core mechanics and themes of Vigilance? What sets Vigilance aside from the rest?
I think the most obvious might be removal.
Yep.
Yes.
There's a lot of direct removal that we don't really see in other colors. Red, for instance, has a lot of damage, but blue actually has effects that say defeat.
Yep.
Kill a thing.
And I guess the double aspects cards are always really good to kind of summarize what the aspect represents. And the Vigilance card lets you heal, it lets you defeat something, give a shield, and melee your opponent. So we see some shielded units, or for instance, cards giving shields. We have healing.
Yep.
And then mostly removal, I guess.
Yeah, it's not that much of the discarding part. That's actually more on other colors in general.
The discarding thing might be, well, rather the milling part will probably something we'll see grow in later sets.
Yes,
Yep.
probably.
And it's also worth mentioning that force is a big part of blue as well, at least in set 1. The force keyword.
Oh, true.
Heroic flavored force cards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
exactly. Heroic side, yeah. The villainy is on green
exactly.
and red.
Because villainy was a lot of force green, force red. Red was the force area in that one. Yeah, and it actually had the most upgrades.
Yeah, that's true.
As well. So, which resilience was one.
Protector,
Devotion.
etc.
lightsabers,
Yeah.
devotion.
Yeah, so the most different amounts there compared to aggression, which only had one.
Yeah.
There as well.
And I think, like, looking at the heroic units, I feel like they often have big butts. They're like units with some power, but often pretty like solid units that stick around. So it's not an aggressive color.
No.
Staying alive, healing yourself, giving yourself shields to not explode, and just keeping yourself alive.
Yeah. Well, being able to kind of destroy at the same time as stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but more the staying around thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like because you had the upgrades, because you could do stuff like that, and also like the big aggressive side, especially for me, was the grip keyword, which wasn't as big as it's gonna be.
Hopefully, yeah.
But like Chewbacca had it, the Scout Bike Pursuer, which was a huge card, had the grit keyword as well. And there's just going to be more grit as well.
Base having grit is also fun. Base mounts.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of those.
Yeah. So what are the strengths? If we could pin down the strengths as opposed to the weaknesses, like what was it? I mean, we kind of answered this already, but anything else we can say to like what was it good at? Apart from healing, sticking around,
as you've already mentioned, any of the hard control decks play blue because they have the tools to stabilize in the late game. I mean, we've only seen it in Vigilance. No, sorry, in Villainy thus far, with like Super Laser Blast and Power of the Dark Side, and then winning with Mill. But we can get more into that when we look at Villainy, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. No, we can deep dive in there. What does it suck at?
Being aggressive. Yeah.
Being aggressive.
Yeah, it doesn't set tempo in a game from the start. It is like you're building up because you either play mid-range or late game, right? No matter deck. You don't add blue to your deck if you want to be an aggro. What it looks like for the most part.
I also think blue lacks turn one plays. I mean, you have Scout Bike Pursuer, but you can only have 3 of that in your deck, and you have to synergize around it.
I think they had one of the best turn one plays in Regional Governor.
Yeah, I think that's a bit controversial. It's like really good into some specific decks, but at 2 cost 3/3, for instance, I would say it's much better. Like
that one is better. Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, there's also the Inferno 4 in blue-black, which is a nice space. There's a 2/3 in space, which is fine. There are a couple of those, gives you intel, and then there's the Restored Arc, which is a 2/3 in space again with Restore. But I feel like they really lack the ground presence in the early game.
Yeah, definitely.
Scout, really just a Scout Pursuer. Yeah. And I guess technically, Guardian of the Wills, which is a card people play apparently. I haven't seen it used efficiently ever, but I have seen it used several times for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I've just done a filter on the database, and when in terms of 1 and 2 drops, you have 4 ground units and 3 space units.
Yeah, but the ground units are special. Like there's the surgical droid. Why would you play the surgical droid?
but that's the thing. There really isn't that many compared to the other ones. Let's have a look at the villainy and heroism leaders. Then let's see what the differences are between these two. Villainy, you wanted to have a look at villainy, Jonah?
Yeah, I feel like villainy has gotten the most attention, as I mentioned, because of being able to have access to the super laser blast and more of the control cards. From set 1, we have Krennic and Aiden, which both, I would say, have some built-in tools for aggro because they can heal. And then from Shadows of the Galaxy, we see Gar Saxon and Kira. I would say they have pretty different playstyle. So it's going to be interesting to see if they share anything to the Krennic and Aiden decks. I don't think we're going to see any Super Laser Blast in those decks. But
No.
both
But I think
Aiden
that's
and
nice.
Krennic have seen a lot of play.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good, though, that the leaders are coming in and contesting like a different spot in the blue villainy. Since Aiden and Krennic, right now, their decks are, in the beginning, they were really similar. Then people realized that if you want to go green-blue, Krennic is probably the best. And then if you want to go blue-blue, like really hard control, you go Aiden. So, like, if they had printed new leaders with the same theme, basically, that would just not have added anything to the meta. Basically, they just power creeped or been real bad.
Yeah, what we're seeing in the second set is very much going to be a unit focus, at the very least, and it's they both have fairly gimmicky mechanics. Kira more so, obviously, with the healing every unit and then dealing damage to them. But Gar Saxon is also focused around upgraded units, which at least in set 1 hasn't been very viable. So we're gonna have to see how they make that viable. So they're very different design spaces. It's not just remove the things on the board until you have a big Star Destroyer and then throw it out on the field. So that's going to be exciting to see how they change the aspect.
Yeah.
The last week on the Fantasy Flight stream, they did they did Ray versus. There were 3 different heroes they were playing, and I can't remember which one Xander was playing, but he played a lot of upgrades in his one. It was actually very effective.
Yeah, he played Bo-Katan.
He played Bo-Katan blue, didn't he? And did he play Bo-Katan blue? I feel like he played Bo-Katan blue. And there was a lot of upgrades. So I think, like you said, half his deck was upgrades, and he really pushed out to keep his stuff around when it got out on the board. And it worked in one game, and it did not work in the other game.
Yeah, we've seen with the games that they play on FFG's live streams that they're usually not exactly tuned decks. They don't just want to show off the systematic, go have fun. They want to show off their cards, right? So it's fun to see the set in action like that, but it's in no way indicative of what will even sort of remotely work when the set is out.
Yeah, no, that is a good point. I just feel like the upgrades are going to be very strong.
They really want upgrades to work. We know that much. They really want upgrades to work. I have a hard time seeing them make them work, but I could be wrong. And it could be really
fair. Yep. I'm happy with that. What about Heroic?
Heroic has Shirit. I like Shirit. Shirit makes me happy. Yeah. Shirit is cute. Shirit is
Shirit is cute.
Definitely Shirit.
Did you get a room?
I mean, he's not here. He's not in the room with me, so it wouldn't help. But,
true.
But the blue-white leaders so far is kind of on the staying alive train. But Chewie with the 2-9, keeping up with what we said earlier with the really big butts and the really not so big tops. But keeping the Sentinel and the Grit, which we're going to be seeing more of, and hopefully seeing a lot of buffs too in set 2, which is going to be fun.
Yeah, and Chewbacca, you could have gone either way. You could have done 2 different ways. Like you had the Force way, and then you had going down the way with like using Han and Lando, and the a lot more of the a little heavier on the yellow than with Chewbacca, I think. And I think green Chewbacca was also a good popular at the start as well.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted Chewbacca to work. I fought to get Chewbacca to
have.
work, and it just
Soon.
If I can
There
get
you
to
touch
Oslo,
it.
I'm still thinking about taking Chewbacca.
Yeah. You're touching something pretty like a symptom of the hero blue leaders. You want them to work. That's what people want. You want them to work, but they are a little bit undertuned, all of them. And I think and Rey does not look like the overtuned hero so far yet.
No.
So I'm hoping for like a little bit overtuned hero blue leader that can like really put some presence
in the new set.
Yes,
in Shadows. Yeah. Well, that's going to be Finn. That's been spoiled already.
Yeah, and he is not that.
No.
Yes, very much not.
Yeah, no. So that's very interesting. Both Rey and Finn, they don't seem good, but then we thought similar about with other heroes, didn't we? In like Han wasn't amazing to begin with. People didn't see the value of Han to begin with.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they can
Chirrut,
absolutely
people
do
don't
some
see the value.
magic.
Yeah.
I mean, some people aren't seeing the value of Chirrut still. We have really good players in Sweden playing him, which makes him still manage to win sometimes. Tobias is an absolute fucking magician when it comes to playing card games. But Chirrut as a hero is fun. He can make stuff work. He can be hard to deal with, but he's not that good. So I don't think that's a misread, saying that he's not going to be amazing, because he's not.
I feel like it's on the topic of upgrades that you talked about earlier. Like both Chewie and Chirrut both benefit from like a Voltron strategy where you just put a lot of upgrades on your
him.
leader and rely on the fact that leaders are much harder to remove.
Yeah.
And with Rey now, she gives experience and Finn can give shield. So there's kind of a theme there, but I think
with set 2 and the card that must not be named, then that's going to be quite difficult. I'm not going to trigger anyone this week. I'm not triggering anyone.
I mean, Rey can only buff herself once with her own ability, and then she has to buff other things that have 2 attack, which you're not gonna see. I can't see a game-winning strategy based around playing 2 damage units currently.
No.
Maybe there will be. Maybe you can just swarm the board, but not having a hand left is kind of awkward.
Well, it's the same thing with the Chewbacca was. Like, I had a strategy playing as actually early game, great, pay a unit that's cost 3 or less. You pay your small things out, give them Sentinel, and they protect, but they don't stick around for long because they get killed. Yeah. Getting Chewbacca out and then the late game is very difficult. It's the same thing. You don't get very far playing small units. I completely agree with that one.
But for set 3, we're hoping for an Ahsoka that's really overpowered and blue for some reason. And
Ahsoka would be amazing.
Just give me blue Ahsoka. That is the best deck, and I will play it until I die.
Yeah. What about Security Complex? The rare base.
That's the give a shield one, right?
Yep. Yes. Epic action, give a shield to a non-leading unit.
It's kind of fun if you're Inquisitor.
Yeah, I think
it's bad, but it's fun if you're Inquisitor.
Wait, enough said. Let's move on.
I think so. Enough said.
But even there, it's not worth 5 health.
No, I mean, the same, like Tarkin Town was good. ECL, enough said. But both Jeddah and Security Complex was not worth.
Security Complex can be used efficiently every once in a while if you know what you're doing with it in a deck that is not built around blue. But it's never going to be. Well, it's very rarely going to save you that 5 HP that you're sacrificing for it, and it's almost never going to gain you more than the 5 HP.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I mean,
especially if it's non-needed units. Sorry.
We've seen the new Mandalorian card. That's a 1/3, which says if it's upgraded, it gets +1/+1. So maybe we're gonna see, like as you mentioned earlier, a Bo-Katan deck where you use this to kind of trigger those upgraded synergy effects.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I agree, it's not the best of bases.
I mean, obviously, we like shield give the shield to a non-lead unit, you can't like give it to buff Chewbacca or Chirrut. You can being able to would have been another extra buff for your leader would have been also really good.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem is that there's not like a shield is great, right? We can see that when Luke plays the game, shields are bananas. But having one shield you can give out once as an action, so you're giving up momentum. It gets a bit. If it said when you play a unit, use it the way Boba uses his ability as a reaction to give the played unit a shielded. That could maybe do a thing, so you wouldn't skip that momentum. But losing out the momentum feels really awkward.
Yeah. Looking at the artwork and on flavor perspective, was it more designed to go with like a double blue Krennic because it's the security complex at like looking at the artwork, it's Scarif. It's clearly Scarif. Krennic, Scarif. Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't play it in Krennic.
No, exactly. Yeah, well, I mean, exactly. Giving damage you damage the unit and then shield it if it's important. Yeah. I do wonder the thought process behind the design of it. And why the designers thought it was worth the.
I mean, if you play it in Gar Saxon, you could give one attack. So.
And there's not going to be any. There's not going to be any rare bases in Shadow of the Galaxy.
So basically, downsides most of them. Upside, at least it's not Jeddah City.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
cool. I might actually think Jeddah City is better, but
we will save that for next week.
We can have a fight about that when we get there.
Sounds good. Not that any of them are great, though.
Okay.
If we're looking at the units, I feel like I kind of tend to prefer the villain side as well. I really think Chilson is an amazing card. Avenger is just like a game-winning play.
That's true.
And now from Shadows of the Galaxy, we've seen Dr. Pershing and the Client, which are just like amazing cards for control.
Yeah. And Pershing, the first light, which is really fun.
I mean,
yeah, he's cool.
Snoke is definitely a card that exists.
I think it's a fantastic card, Snoke. But that's.
I mean, if you get to 8 resources and your -2/-2 makes the difference, then yeah.
Yeah, it's a win more card. It's not gonna save you from a losing state. Maybe it's nice if you get it back with Palpatine's return.
Yeah, that is true. And he has actually Force, which is fun. Having some more Force keyword in the blue-black.
Yep, true.
But I'm really excited about First Light. I think that's going to be a fun card. Because it's going to make math harder for everyone. And making math harder for everyone is going to make people misplay. And that's a way to win games. Attack the player directly with more math.
Yeah.
So First Light, why is that more math?
Because it gives everything grit. And then suddenly, if you have like 4 things with damage on it, then they have to go like, hang on, this doesn't do that much damage, it does that much damage. And then they're going to do the wrong math, and then they're going to be like, aha, I'm going to win 1 HP. And they're like, oh no, he actually killed me.
Yeah.
Which is how I lose most games.
Yes. Attack the player directly with math. Am I saying it's a good card? We'll see.
Yeah, I don't like it that much.
Yeah. No, me neither, but it's fun, and I like it.
Yeah.
I do think that even though villain has they have more of good units. I think the hero has 2 of the best in Kanan Jarrus and Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
Those 2, like Kanan Jarrus is definitely one of the best 4-drops in the game, top 3.
Oh, without a doubt.
And that is partially because the 4-drops are really crappy, but but he is still like impactful. Like he's very good. And then Luke Skywalker is just a beast. He's growing on me every game. So
Luke is bananas.
They are not like enough to compensate because, like as we talked before, like the heroes are a little bit weak. Then the cards actually have to be even stronger. And we don't see that just yet. But
And Redemption is also a really good card. Like that card also wins games.
Sometimes, yeah. In certain situations, it saves
Not as much
games
as
more
Avenger,
than wins. But
yeah. That's fair. But it's a really good card for screwing up the opponent's lines.
Yeah.
Especially
I'm
when
happy
you're
to
playing.
see.
Go ahead.
I'm happy to see some nice space units as well for heroism from Shadows of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Like Concord Dawn Interceptors is like effectively a 3/4 for 3 with Sentinel. And then Razor Crest, which is also a 3/4 but with Restore. So
and you bounce a not bounce, but you bring back an upgrade as well.
Yeah.
As well, really going into the Mandalorians.
So I think they are decent, but from the rest of the spoilers, I kind of still like the villain side better. And just to give a counter argument, Adam, you said Kanan is good, but have you heard about Lon Pike? He's a 4/6. And he can give shields. He can give shields, so if you play him in Gar Saxon, you can just get more value.
But he doesn't heal you. But he does smuggle as well.
But again, he's villainy. You wouldn't pick him over.
Yeah, he's better. I think. Yeah, like he also has smuggle, so just that is pretty good.
But he's a rare.
I think they had some of the best villainy commons and uncommons as well. Like you would get a lot of good stuff in like playing draft with blue villainy. Like Scout Bite Pursuer is a huge card for limited. In there, like
I think Death Trooper is also
Death Trooper is
A tier or S tier.
Exactly.
And if you can get both of them
again,
Just Krennic as a leader is insane in draft. By the way,
But I mean, I haven't managed to play as many drafts as I wanted to, but
I played
two separate occasions. It's fun, right? Yeah. In two separate occasions, I've been against a Scout Bite Pursuer that got hugely overbuffed to like an 11-14 unit. And I've also been on the side of buffing it to like a 13-16 unit.
That's a lot of upgrades.
Which is a hugely upgrade, but if you can get it out early and keep buffing, it's Alliance Dispatch all over again. Like kill it or be killed by it.
Yeah,
to an extent, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but should we move on from the units? Take a look at the events, or
events? Yes. Right? Those exist. Those are cards. Takedown.
Yeah, those are actually the best. That's the best part of blue.
Yeah, but am I seeing wrong? Oh yeah, I'm on the wrong side. I was about to say, does heroism have any?
Yes, Force is with me.
Yeah,
the Force is with me is pretty
that's
good.
the only one.
Yeah, it's amazing, but it's the only one. But it also has two. They have two upgrades, which are like events, but not quite.
Yeah. I mean, the Force is with me is nice when you have the setup for it, but I feel like it's a bit expensive. For 3, it would have been, I think,
disgusting.
I don't think it's too expensive. I think that we're at a state where Force units aren't, or rather Force as a keyword isn't as big as it's going to be. I think Force is going to grow. But there's not enough stuff that takes advantage of Forces with me right now. No. But when that card, when we get stuff that can use it, that card is going to be bananas. Because giving +2/+2, a shield, and an action, basically, is fantastic.
It's pretty good that it can go base.
Yeah,
like it doesn't have to go unit.
So you can use it as a finisher. You can use it to clear off something big without taking damage back. You can use it just to make your threat bigger and scarier, and or keep something alive for longer. Like you can attack, and they're going to be like, "Oh, I need to trade 2 units into this thing to remove it," and then you give it a shield between their 2 attacks. It's very versatile. So I think it's one of the better cards in blue, honestly. It just needs the synergy.
Yeah, it needs more, like Blue Hero in general.
Yeah.
But Takedown and Vanquish is pretty good.
Yeah, kill a thing is good. Make thing die is part of game.
Well, I mean, there were 2 blue staple cards for any blue deck. At least like two of each. At least I think.
Yeah, I mean,
I at least started with 2 of each and 1 each in sideboard.
Yeah, and I think that's going to change a little bit with set 2 since we're getting Fell the Dragon and Titan's Fall. No, Rival's Fall. I'm not sure why I keep calling it Titan's Fall.
Or the card that shall not be named.
Yeah, which with really pretty art. But anyways, like I think when those 2 cards get added into the mix, you're gonna see a lot more using Takedown or Vanquish as sideboard tech and switching in depending on what you're facing. We still see that to an extent now, but with that many removal tools, especially for blue-black, which also has Power of the Dark Side and Super Laser Blast, like there's gonna be, you can't play 15 removal cards in your deck, right? Or
No.
like it's gonna go bananas.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be the choice of what to play, but then playing against it, it's the choice of knowing that they exist and what you're going to play against, how you're going to play around it as well.
Yeah. I'm not that impressed by the new villainy event, Calculated Lethality, that lets you defeat a non-leader that costs 3 or less. So it's kind of restricted on the cost rather than remaining HP, as Takedown is. You do get the upside that you get to give experience if there were any upgrades on the unit, but I feel like I would rather have a card that can deal with more situations than
especially for
that.
4. It costs 4 and is way less versatile than Takedown, which does the same thing, but better.
It's situational. Like if you sideboard it in against Mandalorian decks.
I mean,
for
if
example.
we see a lot of upgrades being played, if we see the weenie decks, the decks with small costs being big, then yeah, that's going to be great because it doesn't matter. Like if you upgrade a card to be a 45/45, it still costs 3. Well, I mean, it's dead now. So I mean, hey, there's that. So I mean, if that happens, but it's very clearly also designed for the starter deck. It's a very good anti Mandalorian starter deck card in the Gideon starter deck. So
it's just so sad though, because I imagine seeing the Dark Trooper with his gun just shooting Grogu between the eyes.
That is because, dark, man.
But they built it that way because Mandalorian, the legendary card, gives shields, 2 shields to a unit that costs 2 or less. Grogu costs 2, so you're supposed to do it on Grogu, and then this Dark Trooper just turns up.
It's the Child Executioner button.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen the Dark Trooper
yet. Yeah. Anakin, and we haven't seen the Dark Trooper yet as well.
Yes,
we haven't been. Have we?
We've seen it in Command.
There's definitely Dark Troopers. Isn't there
Dark Troopers in Shadows?
Yes. It's a 3/3 Sentinel that says every time this unit survives combat damage, he gets an experience, I think.
Yeah, I'm not finding it, but we have seen it. It's there. It's green. It's green-black.
Yeah.
We also get limited editions.
Yeah, Phase 3 Dark Trooper, of course. Yeah.
So I mean,
I remember that now. Yeah, that's true. I've been waiting for that for a long time, and I completely forgot this actually spoiled really early.
You waited too long.
I waited too long. That's fine. Anyway, back to the vigilance in question, the aspect in question.
Yes.
Yeah, Matt, you were saying.
I was probably saying something. I say a lot of things, and then they go away.
I interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I did scroll down and saw Moisture Farmer. It's like, oh, that's a neat card, and then I moved on. But that's a different story.
Yeah.
We've passed that now.
So it feels like it's only going to get stronger, Vigilance.
It's going to have to. Blue-black is looking solid as always. Blue-white is looking... Blue-white as always. It'll probably be better than it was, and it'll probably be playable. But I don't think it's going to be a Maze Pulse.
I think it's been released better cards for other colors so far. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe blue villain control that is still doing well, but I fear for the mid-range hero blue.
Yeah. Maybe that is a good segue to actually look into the decks that utilize Vigilance now.
I think that's a perfect segue into this. What have been the good
So-
decks then?
I feel like the only... I was about to say Luke is the only one, but no, we have Chirrut. Luke Green has been, I would say, a later contender. I don't feel like he was popular at all in the beginning.
Yeah.
It sucked in the
then-
beginning.
Yeah, it's kind of found... People realize that you don't want to play resupply on turn 2. You just need that Alliance Dispatcher and keep curve and maybe resupply when you have 5 resources to get Luke out.
Yeah.
And like Ewing in home 1 is just so good.
Mm.
But again, as I've
And-
mentioned for the third time now, like hard control is probably the most popular.
Yeah, and I
Blue
just want to
decks?
point out, when you were
Definitely.
talking about the Luke archetype there, you didn't mention a single blue card being good. You mentioned just the green cards being good. And how to use them. So I think that says something
Yeah.
about where that deck is.
True, yeah.
as well.
I mean, the Luke unit was good. The Luke into
I mean, yeah.
Luke. I mean,
Luke is good.
Luke,
And
you know, the
regional
Luke into
governor.
Luke combo, a regional governor. Yeah, no, of course. But you know, I mean, probably the last time I talked about Chewbacca. Now that we're talking about decks, it wasn't a meta deck, but at the same time, that's what the Luke unit is. What made the Chewbacca kind of work.
Yeah.
When we were testing it, like, you know, trying to buff late game, etc., the backup plan. Apart from that, yeah, there really wasn't much heroic side on the villainy on that side of the aspect. However, on the villainy, man, that was strong.
Okay, so I think I have to retract my tired brain when I said earlier the only, and then I stopped because I realized we've pretty much seen all of the leaders in play. That's what's been so great about set 1 meta, right? You can actually play everything, but I think what I want to say now that has given Blue so much attention is Vigilance, like the card, right?
Yeah.
Because Vigilance enables a completely different game plan, which is mill. And nothing else has that. And if you want to play Vigilance, you should at least have one blue aspect, so you can play it for 6. And that's been, I think, it's been a bit controversial. People saying, "Oh, it's so boring when you play against a deck that literally just wants you to run out of stuff." But I think it's also a bit cool to have it in the meta.
Yeah, it's fun with alternate win conditions like that. I enjoy that in other card games. I don't like when it becomes too fatiguey, because I don't like when games run on for like ages and you don't feel like you're doing anything. And I feel like that's a bit of a problem now, but I don't have a problem with mill as a concept. But we didn't actually talk about the Vigilance card much when we were talking cards. And Vigilance is interesting because of the fact that no one really played it at first, and then everyone realized that, wait, this card is absolutely bananas and we need to play it more. Because it does so many things so well, and it fits into every deck that even like smells blue. So it does well.
Yeah, it's
Except
amazing.
for me,
can't
I
argue
haven't
with that.
seen Chewie. I haven't really seen Chewie played a lot, so I can't really.
That's
know.
because nobody's testing Chewie anymore. I think they would add him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fair. Like,
It's on my list. If I get to go to Oslo, I'm seriously considering bringing a Chewbacca just for the sake of it.
yeah, do it. You can borrow Vigilances from me if you need to.
I have 3 Vigilances now.
All right.
I fought on. I've got.
We're all proud of you.
You should be.
But yeah, the decks.
So-
Decks are cool. I don't know.
Decks are cool, yeah.
No, I know. The thing is, playing against the Vigilance card, I get Adamar game in the Quiver Showdown. Like that was such a pain in the backside. You playing so many Vigilances, and me getting you into like killing range, and then no, he's healed, he's done stuff, and it's come on, like it does every single one of those options on the Vigilance card is such a powerful effect, and you can't say that about any of the other aspects where all four things is something that you would want to do.
I think you can say it about
If you
cunning.
disagree with me, cunning, yeah, not all the time.
Cunning is
But the
bananas.
same, it's not all the time on Vigilance either, because discarding 6 is not good for many decks. It's just for one type of archetype. But I think that card is great, and I think people have noticed that paying things out of aspect is really worth it if they enable you to do something that you can't do, like in your normal standard. And it's better to like pay some extra than change your whole deck to get it. So I think it's going to be more and more normal to have a few out of aspect cards in your decks.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely. And maybe that was why people didn't trust it to begin with. They didn't want to play the aspect penalty.
So.
They
Most
didn't think
likely,
it was
yeah.
effective enough.
Yeah, I thought you can't, like when they released the game, like with the 2 cost thing, penalty, I was like, you can never ever play out of aspect. I thought it was like never they're gonna have so good cards, but clearly
I think
wrong.
we can maybe even see like some removal cards being added into certain decks. Like if you're playing, even if you're not playing blue, you might want to play one Vanquish or one Arrival's Fall or something like that in the future, just to have a tool for that special situation. That could be viable later. Especially when Smuggle's been introduced, ironically, because Smuggle introduces the idea that you don't need to stay on curve, right? Smuggle what keeps you off curve. So
yeah.
Have you guys played any other cards than Vigilance out of aspects that are blue? Sorry,
blue.
That are blue.
Blue cards.
Luke in Casino Hon. Does that count?
Luke in my normal Hon, in my sideboard. And of course, I have obviously 3 rugged survivors in most of my sideboards for every deck.
That's like moral support.
I think Luke is a good shout.
Yeah,
like even paying 9 for it, it's not the worst.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, I think it's Luke is good.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy card. Yeah.
Back in the day when I was really scared playing against Turret, when he was super popular and I had a hard time when I played Han, I actually had a takedown in the sideboard.
Yeah.
Just like you said, Matthias, to have that specific tech.
Yeah. And depending on the power of heroes, we might see Rival's Fall being played as a one-off in the sideboard. Against, I don't know, if one hero becomes really bananas, you're like, we need to remove this now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only had just over half the cards spoiled so far.
Yeah.
As well, there's still a lot to go. There's a lot of the post the sequel trilogy cards coming out. Like Finn came out. We've seen Rose. We haven't seen as many other cards from the later films. So yeah.
I want to just throw out, because we did start talking about decks and then we kind of didn't. I just want to throw out, as we said earlier, Iden Blue, real good control. Chronic Green, real good soft control with units and being annoying. Those have been decks that have seen a lot of play in the meta, and most likely will keep seeing play in the meta even as we move on further. So if you're looking at being the nuisance at your table that just makes games drag on and destroys everything, play those decks. They're fun.
And if you like many other control leaders, just slap a Dagobah Swamp on there and some Vigilances and you're good to go.
Tape the blue to it. That's fine.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun, especially if you like holding out the games and yeah. Great. Well, let's end our conversation on Vigilance here today. Let us know what you think of Vigilance. Are we wrong? Are we right? And let us know what you think of the logo as well. Like, we're really, really excited to actually get this out, that we have our identity out there and pushing it out there. So, enjoy that. And until next time, that's goodbye from me. May the force be with you.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
See you later.